Well, that's your home safe and sound after your aerobic session. Tell you what, how about a quick cup of tea before I disappear? Shall I put the kettle on?
What a good idea. There's some biscuits in the tin. I think we deserve a little treat after our busy morning.
You'll be ready for your lunch after all that exercise. Is your daughter bringing you something nice over?
Oh, well, I'm not sure. She might. I don't know.
You okay, Dorothy?
Oh.
Something the matter, sweetheart? What's wrong?
I'm sorry. Don't take any notice. I'm just being silly.
You can tell me, can't you, Dorothy? What's upsetting you?
Well, I'm not sure whether Jane is coming to see me today. Actually, I'm not sure she'll be coming back at all.
What do you mean, not coming back? You two haven't fallen out with each other, have you?
Oh, no, it's not her. I was so angry with her yesterday. I don't know what came over me. She's so good, and I just... Oh.
Well, look, whatever it is, it's obviously upset you. You know, it is good to talk about things. I really don't like to see you like this.
Oh, you're a good man, Ray. But I'm just not used to talking about this kind of thing.
Dorothy, I'm not a trained counsellor, but I have learned to listen and support people. Look, I've got 10 minutes before I need to leave. Whatever you told me wouldn't go any further.
Well, all right, Ray. Thank you. I suppose I just find it hard to accept that Jane's having to look after me these days, when I've spent all my life looking after her. But I shouldn't have shouted at her like I did yesterday. She's got so much on her plate already.
It sounds to me as though you're really very upset.
To tell the truth, Ray, I feel awful. We've always been so close, the two of us. When she was little, I had to do everything for her. It's a bit embarrassing, really, but I had to bring her up on my own after my husband walked out on us when she was just a little baby.
Dorothy, dear, that must have been really hard for you.
Yes, it was, Ray. People weren't so accepting of single parents in those days. And sometimes I thought they thought I had brought it all on myself by not looking after him properly. You don't want to hear all this from me.
No, wait a sec, Dorothy. Don't rush off. Actually, I do want to hear about your life and why you're feeling so upset about your relationship with Jane. What happened to you and your husband?
Well, Arthur just couldn't cope with the competition. It was all right when we were just a couple. He was a handsome man and such good fun. But he was quite selfish. Looking back, I suppose I was young and foolish and didn't make a good choice. He'd been the centre of attention all his life. And suddenly there was this little baby taking his place on centre stage.
That sounds so sad. Mind you, I've never had much to do with babies. We have talked about it, Susie and I, but, well, it just seems such a responsibility.
Oh, I think you'd make a wonderful father, Ray.
Thank you. So how was it after he left you, Dorothy?
Well, I had to go back to work to support us both. Luckily, I was a drama teacher, so Jane was able to come with me some of the time. But you can't keep a lively young girl cooped up indoors all day. And I had to do such long hours to make ends meet.
Sounds to me as though life was really very tough for you in those days.
Well, thankfully I had a sister, and she really helped out. She had 2 children of her own, but she was always there for us. And eventually, of course, Jane married David. Then it was such a relief to know that she had someone else to care for her. Well, I'm not going to be around forever. But now it's all gone wrong.
It's all gone wrong?
Yes, it's as though history is repeating itself, Ray. David has walked out on Jane, just like her father, leaving her with 3 children and a bad-tempered mother.
So now Jane is all alone with the children, and you're feeling you're just, well, another burden in her life.
That's exactly how I feel, Ray. At least I had a sister, and I wasn't spending all my free time looking after a helpless, horrible old woman. It breaks my heart to see her look so tired and run down.
Oh, Dorothy, I don't think you're a horrible old woman.
Well, thanks, Ray. I just want to look after her like I always have. But what can I do? I've offered to look after the children here, but it's very boring for them being alone with just an old woman for company.
You do seem rather down in the dumps at the moment.
I know, I'm just a heap of misery, and I don't seem to be able to shake myself out of it. It's not just Jane's problems either. I get so fed up with having to depend on other people to do all the things that I used to be able to do for myself.
So tell me, what happened between you and Jane?
Well, you know, Ray, I can still do quite a lot of things for myself. These morning physio sessions have been a great help. But Jane comes round every day and fusses about me. She brings me a hot meal, which I could quite easily cook for myself. And yesterday, she wouldn't even let me put the shopping away. She kept telling me to sit down and rest, as if I didn't spend most of my time sitting down and resting. And so I shouted at her, and it was so unfair.
So you lost your patience with Jane and shouted at her, and now you're really regretting that.
Jane's face just sort of closed down, like she did when she was little, and her father promised to visit and then just let her down yet again. Well, then Jane just walked out on me without saying another word.
But don't you think she'd understand if you get a bit tetchy from time to time?
Tetchy? Well, I suppose that just about sums me up these days. I'm turning into a grumpy, miserable old woman.
Dorothy, let's just take a closer look at this. You're feeling your rage, and it's getting you down. You've always been the one that does all the caring, and you just can't do this anymore, which must be really hard for you. You try to keep yourself as active as you can, but sometimes Jane doesn't understand this. But most of all, you're really concerned about how Jane is coping. That feels like an awful lot to have to cope with yourself.
Well, Ray, it isn't a lot of fun growing old.
I was just wondering, Dorothy, are you due to see a GP soon?
Dr. Martin? Well, yes, actually, I've got an appointment next Thursday. He wanted to check me over before renewing my prescription. But why do you ask?
I was just thinking it might be useful to tell him how low you've been feeling lately, see what he has to say. They have a good team down at the surgery, and I know 1 or 2 of the counsellors. If he could arrange an appointment for you, I'm sure you'd find it helpful.
Oh, Ray, I don't mind talking to you, but I don't know about seeing a counsellor. That sort of thing was rather frowned upon by my generation. We were brought up just to get on with it.
But was that a good thing? I really feel there's no need to suffer in silence. And these are well-trained professional people, whereas I'm only trained to listen and support. Anyway, how did you feel about talking to me today?
Well, now you ask, I have found it really helpful, sort of getting things off my chest. But really, Ray, I'd much rather just talk to you. You seem to know me better than I know myself these days.
You can talk to me anytime, Dorothy, but it's not the same as talking to a professional counsellor. And if they can help put a bit of spring back in your step, it's got to be worth a try, don't you think?
Well, I must admit, life hasn't been all that easy lately. And snapping at poor Jane was unforgivable.
Look, all you've got to do is tell Dr. Martin some of what you told me. See what he has to say. When I pick you up next week from physio, you can tell me how you got on. Now, how about that cup of tea?
I think I ought to get that for you, after all this talk about being independent.
Well, OK, Dorothy. That would be very nice indeed.
Thanks, Ray. You're a great friend to me.